Alright, you are welcome to this Lumion tutorial. In this Lumion tutorial, you are going to be learning all you need to know from a beginner to an expert. Without wasting your time, let's get started. Now, I will be giving you some basics of all the things that you need to know about Lumion and your system. The first thing I want you to know is that you can see this red notification that the computer speed is low. This is one of the results of dedicated graphics card. And so if you are preparing to use Revit, if you are preparing to use Lumion in your system, then make sure your system have dedicated graphics card. And it is recommended that the capacity of the dedicated graphics card should not be less than 4 gig. If it's less than 4 gig, you are going to be having this type of notification that the computer speed is low. But if you have a higher dedicated graphics card, you are going to have a more faster operation with Lumion. And how do you know whether your system have dedicated graphics card? I want to show you how to know whether your system have a dedicated graphics card. Simply go to your desktop, right click any empty space. You are going to see the control panel here. This one is NVIDIA control panel. You may have another type. I don't know the type you may have. If you do not see any of this type of control panel after right clicking on your desktop, it means either the system does not have dedicated graphics card, or somehow it is hidden. So make sure it has a dedicated graphics card, otherwise Lumion will not run on your system. Okay, to check the capacity of the dedicated graphics card, simply click on this control panel, on this NVIDIA control panel, and this dialog box will open. Once it's open, you click on this system information. Then another dialog box will open. You are going to see some details here. Under this detail, that is where you are going to see the capacity of the dedicated graphics card. If you can see here, see dedicated video memory is 2048 megabytes DDR3. So as far as this system is concerned, this is the capacity of the dedicated graphics card. Make sure you check your own before you consider installing Lumion on your system. Alright, in a separate video, I'm going to show you how to install Lumion on your system. In case you have not yet installed Lumion on your system, I will show you how to download and install it on your system. Okay, so let's continue. I want to assume that you have already downloaded it and installed it on your system. If you have not yet installed it, then make sure you watch the video on how to download it and install it on your system. Okay, so you are going to see this when you open your Lumion for the first time. So what you are going to do is you are going to click on New, and here you have several templates that you can start from. You can start from any of these templates. If you see this one, this is forest environment. Then this is tropical environment. This is a suburban environment. This is white environment. Depends on the capacity of your system. If your system is powerful, you can use any of these environment, this forest environment, because it has a lot of trees. With this, your work become faster because you don't need to be looking for trees anymore. Trees are already there. Is a nice environment that you can start with. But if your system is not powerful, it is going to make the work very slow. So it is not advisable unless you have a very powerful system. So if your system is not too powerful, you can use either of these two, plane or mountain range. So let's see whether we can start with mountain range and see how it look like. Okay, so here it is. It has loaded. You can see it's like it's a picture of mountain true. As you are rotating around, that is how you'll be seeing the mountains. It's a nice scene. Okay, so let's try and load a file into this project first before we get started. To load a file into this project, it depends on the modeling softwares you are using. Some people use Revit architecture, some use SketchUp, some use 3ds Max, some use ArchiCAD. So I don't know the one you are using, but for the purpose of this tutorial, we are going to be using Revit architecture. So I am going to open a file in Revit. This is the file we want to be using for the purpose of this tutorial, and we want to export this file to Lumion. To export it to Lumion, there are two ways you can go about it if you are exporting it from Revit to Lumion. There are two ways I know, but I don't know of the other ways you know. The two ways I know are: you can export this 3ds you can export this 3D to 3ds Max first. Then from 3ds Max you can export it to Lumion. Because if you try to export it to Lumion direct from Revit, it is not going to separate this material. It's going to lump all the material together, and that is not going to be a desirable outcome. So for you to be able to separate the materials, you need to first of all export it to 3ds Max, combined by materials. Then you can from 3ds Max export it to Lumion. Then the second way you can export it to Lumion is you are going to use Live Sync. Live Sync is a plugin that you can install on your system that will help you to export your 3D model to Lumion. So if you install your Revit for the first time, you are not going to see this Lumion tab, except if you have installed this Live Sync on your system. So in a separate video, I will show you how to install this Live Sync on your system. So if you have installed it on your system, you can now think of exporting this 3D model to Lumion. And before you export it to Lumion, you have to be on the 3D view. Okay, then one of the ways you can export it using Live Sync is you export to COLLADA file, or you use you start Live Sync. With this, it is going to load directly to your Lumion file. Let's try that one first. So I am going to on it now. If I start it now, you see that it is going to automatically load it into the Lumion that is already open. So you are going to see it now. It is going to load it automatically, and that is what makes this live synchronization interesting. That is one of the ways that I love it so much. Okay, now you can see it's like a playhead is already playing. Now you can see the symbol have changed. So if I go to Lumion now, I should be able to see the file. I should be able to see the file. If I don't see immediately, I am going to scroll. I'm going to scroll until I see it. We want to look for it. I'm sure it has already loaded, but you can see it. So that is always the case when you when you load your 3D model to your Lumion for the first time. You may have problems seeing it, and now that we have located it, what we are going to do now is we want to save this view so that we will not have to lose the position of the model anymore. So what I will do now is I will go to this photo mode, and I'm going to save this view so that anytime by any means I am no longer seeing this model, it has disappeared to somewhere, I will simply come back to this photo mode, and I will start my work from there. So this is it. This is the model. So what I'm going to do now is I will save it first. I will hit on store camera, and the camera, this view will be saved. So anytime you're on the photo mode like this, if you click on build mode, this is build mode. If I click on build mode, it is going to take me directly to this position. So even though by any means this model went somewhere that I can no longer see it, or it is too far from me that I can no longer see it, so what I would do is I will simply go to the photo mode. If I go to the photo mode, I click on this view, I can now see the model. I will go back to my build mode and start working from there. So that is how you can use your live sync to load your 3D model to your Lumion. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is some of the tools that you will be needing in Lumion. One of the most important one is you can already see import here. This one, with this you can use it to import 3ds Max file, you can use it to import SketchUp file, you can use it to import COLLADA file and other files. Then this one is this is where you can, these are some of the tools that you can use it to import. With this you can import trees, you can import trees with details, you can import animals and human beings, then lights, cars, outdoors like chairs, and other decorations outside, bench outside, recreational furniture. Then this one is chairs and other ones. Then this is where you can use to apply materials. If you want to apply material to your 3D model, then this is where you can use to edit your landscape. This is where you can use to change your weather. Then this arrow is where you can use to move your model around. Then this is where you can use to rotate. If you want to scale, you want to increase the size of the model, this is where you can do it. This is where you can delete any model. You can type the coordinates where you want the model to go by typing it. We'll be seeing more of it as we proceed. Then this is where you can move the model and you lock it to X and Y axis. This one is, you can use it to move the model upward or downward. It will be locked to the Z axis. Okay, I think then the other ones we'll also be talking about is, you have the build mode here. This is where you can use to work on your models. Then this is photo mode. I've already shown you photo mode. It has a lot of other tools that are hidden there. Then this is where you can save your file. If I want to save this file now, I will click on this. Then you see that this one is graded out, it's not active. It is because I have not saved this file before. What I would do now is I'll hit save as, and it's going to take me to a folder. Now that it has taken me to a folder, I am going to give it a name. I may give it this name, Revit Tutorial, Lumion Tutorial 01, 02. I will save it. So if I save it now, you see that this save will be active. Any moment from now, I can now be saving my work as I'm working. Okay, you can see it is already saved. You can see it saved about 9 seconds ago. So I can go back to the build mode or go back to photo mode and continue my work. Okay, so I can decide to move it up. If I zoom closer now, you see that the grasses are showing inside the building, and that is not desirable. That's not what we want. The grasses are showing inside the building. We don't want that. We want it to be realistic. So the first thing we want to do is we want to move this model up. To move this model up, you are going to select this move tool, move up. Then if you select move up, you make sure this import models is selected. Then if that import model is selected and move upward is selected, you are going to see there is a node here at the center point. That node is referring to these models. So you are going to select this node. If you select this node, you can now move it up. If you move it up, it is going to leave those grass alone, so that you can now have a clear interlock or a clear oversight concrete that show a real building. We don't want to be seeing grasses inside our rooms or seeing grasses in a place where there is supposed to be interlock or pavement. Okay, now you can now see the pavement is now clear of grass now. The grass we were seeing before is a natural one that Lumion provided. So now that we have moved the model upward, you can see it is now clear. Okay, so I hope you understand this. This is where we are going to stop this video for now. The next video we'll look at is how to import your model using COLLADA file. Okay, let's get into that file now. So what I will do now is I will delete this one for now. I'm going to delete this. Okay, so I have deleted that model. Now I want to show you how to import model from Lumion. And in this case, we'll still be using Revit. So if I go to my Revit, I'm on the 3D view. I can go to the live sync. While selecting my Lumion tab, I go to live sync. Instead of hitting on the start live sync now, I am going to click on this export as COLLADA file. So I can now export. Alright, this is the folder I want to save it to. I am going to give it a name. Okay, this name is not bad. I can leave it at that name, Revit Tutorial 2017. So I'm going to save it. If I save it now, it's now in COLLADA file. So I can go to Lumion. If I go to Lumion, I'm going to import that model. What I will do is I will click on this. I make sure this arrow can be selected, or any of these can be selected. Then I will go to, I make sure I go to import. So if I go to import, I am going to look for that file. I hope you still remember the name. This is the name. So I'm going to select it. In case you do not see it, make sure you select COLLADA file here. If you click on this arrow, you see so many other file extensions here. Make sure COLLADA file is selected, or if there is, okay, if there is a position to select all file, but there's no provision for selecting all file here. So I'm going to select only COLLADA file. Then I select that very file that we saved before, which is Revit Tutorial 2017. I click open. Okay, now is asking, is complaining. This complaint means that the name already exists. So since the name already exists, we will not be able to load it. It will not, we cannot continue except we give it another name. So I'm going to give it another name, 17.2. Okay, then here we can select the folder we want to load it into. There are times we create different folders so that as you progress in your work, you will be able to organize your loaded models, okay, or your imported model rather. So I'm going to click on this check mark so that it will load it into this project. It's going to load it now. Okay, so it has loaded it. The first thing I want to be sure is that I will want to place it in this center point. Why is it important for you to place it in this center point? Because if you place your cursor this center point before you drop it, it's going to help you in future when you are looking for the node for this 3D model. If you are looking for the node, there will be a time we'll be looking for the node. The time will come that we'll need it. So it's very, very important for you to place it here at this center point where you have the X and Y and Z coordinates. Okay, so now the model is imported already. Like I told you before, the first thing you will do is you need to save this view so that at any time you miss the model, because the model can go somewhere, you know, it's like a world. It's a very large, it's like the whole world. The model can move to somewhere and you may not be able to see it faster. So if that happens, what you do is you go to your photo mode that you have saved before and you quickly get it and go back to your work. Okay, I can save it in another view. So now I've saved it. Okay, the first thing I will do now is I will go back and move it upward. I'm going to move it upward. I will select this arrow and you can see if I need the mode for this 3D model, I don't need to be looking for anywhere. I will simply look for this Y, X and Z coordinates. and I will see my node there. I will select the node and select move up, then simply drag it up so that it is going to leave the natural grass, because if it does not leave that natural grass, it is going to affect the beauty of your project, because you will now be seeing grasses inside your room, which is not desirable, or you'll be seeing grasses going through the pavement. That is not what we want. Okay, now that we have moved it upward, we can now save this file, and because we have saved it before, we will see that this save is already graded, is already active, so we can save it further. Then we can go back to build mode. Okay, so now we are in build mode. The next thing that we may want to do is to apply materials. We may want to apply materials now. Now, one thing that you will note here is that it depends on the modeling software you are using. If you are using Revit, these materials are based on the materials you selected in Revit. If, for instance, I select this grass now, this grass, if I select it, the architectural models that I used was a floor. But if I click on the properties, you see that what I used was under the material, I name it as grass lawn. I name it as grass lawn, and if I go to Lumion and look at it, if I pick, this is where I can apply material. If I pick it and hover my cursor over it, you see it is bearing the same material name that we have in Lumion. So I select it. If I select it, I can now apply another material to it here. Now, this is a grass. Since it's a grass, what I would do for it to look like a grass in reality, if I leave my cursor now and we look at it critically, you see that the grass has not grown. It's just looking flat. That one is looking flat, and we don't want it to look flat. We want it to look like a grass that has grown up. We want it to grow. So for you to make it to grow, you are going to click on this. You select it. While it is still selected, you select this landscape, and once you hit it, you click on it, boom, the grass is already applied. The natural grass is already applied. You can see it is very interesting, and the grass has already grown. This is great. Okay, now we are going to apply other materials. Okay, now you see that this is a wall. This wall, it is bearing the same material we applied in Lumion, we applied in Revit, but we can tweak it a little bit. We can touch it to look more interesting. So if I select it now, I can apply standard material. Apply standard material meaning that it will have some of the properties that it inherited from Revit. That is what standard means. It is going to have some properties that it has inherited from Revit. For instance, the color will be maintained, and I can reduce the gloss. I can also reduce the reflectivity. Okay, then if it has a map, the map will still be there. The material map will still be there. Then I can apply other things that we'll look at later on. Okay, so but what if I want to change the material? I want to change it from standard material to Lumion material. In that case, I will click on this icon, and I can click on outdoor. I will click on plaster. I can select any of these, and we'll now have a different material map. We have a different material map, and here I can take the colorization upward a little bit so that it will reflect its real color. Then I can drag the gloss down a little bit. I can reduce the reflectivity. It depends on the material that I want, and some other things that we will adjust later. Okay, then one other interesting things that I can do with this Lumion material is that I can copy this material and apply it to another material. I can go to copy. If I copy it now, I go to this fence material, and while the fence material is selected, I will apply standard material. If I apply standard material, then I can paste the one I copied before so that they look exactly the same. And after I've pasted it, maybe I want this one for fence to be a little bit different from I want it to be different from that of the main wall. So what I will do is I'm going to touch it a little bit. I can change the color a little bit. Maybe I want it to be grayish, a kind of a light gray, but the gray will not be too much. So I'll come here and change the color. I drag it down small. Okay, not too much. Okay, so you can see that of fence is a little bit different from the wall now, and we are okay with that. Then for this pavement, I want it to look like an interlock, a realistic interlock. So I will select it. And go to outdoor. I am going to select stones. Okay, I'll select stone. Then I am going to look for something that look like interlock. This is the one I enjoyed most, and you can see it's looking realistic like a real interlock. Then if you are done applying the material, you can check this box, you can check this mark, and the material will be saved. If you don't save it and you click on escape, you are going to lose all the settings you have done, and that will not be desirable. That's not what we want. Okay, so one other things that we will do is we may okay, now this one we have not applied any material yet. Okay, let me show you how to one of the things that you will enjoy with standard material. If for instance I go to roof, let's see our roof. This is our roof. So if I select this roof now, and the roof is already looking interesting, but I want to apply some of the properties of Lumion to it, and I want to retain my map, my bump map. So since I want to retain the bump map, what I will do is to apply standard material, and I will reduce the glossiness and reduce the reflectivity. Then this one I can take it down By clicking on it, the bump will either go down or go up. So whichever one that appears best for you, you can use it. Now here we still have our Revit bump map. So this, if it's interesting, then we don't need to change it. If I increase the colorization now, you see that the color is going to be changing. It's going to be changing, depends on what you want. What if I take it down to be a little bit darker? If I want it to be darker, I can take this down. If I take it down, then I push this one up, then it is going to show that it is dark. It's going to show that it's dark. Then what if I change it towards the red? I want it to go towards brown or red. I want it to be reddish in nature. I want to add more of red to it. Okay, then I take this one up a little bit. So the color is working. So I can save this one. I can save it. Then there are other ones that I can adjust. I want to adjust this concrete fascia. I want to adjust this fascia. To adjust it, I simply select it. Then I can apply standard material to still retain the Revit property. Then I will reduce the glossiness. I will reduce the reflectivity. And one interesting thing here is we can add weathering. Weathering makes your rendering to be realistic. It gives it that the edge is not sharp. The edge is a little bit curved. The edge is not sharp. If the edge is sharp, it will not look realistic, and it is this weathering that controls that. Okay, so we have our material applied. Our material is applied. Let me turn it. To turn it, you can use the right mouse and pressing O at the same time. That way it is going to be turning it. Okay, let me save it first. Then you can see I can no longer see my model. So what I'll do is I'll go back to my photo mode and I click one of the views that I've saved before. Then I can now see my model and go back to build mode. Okay, so I have applied some materials. We are going to go to the next video. All right, let's proceed to the next video.